Hey, what's going on, guys? Kevin the Tech Ninja here, and if you like technology videos from the smart home to the smartphone, make sure you hit subscribe. This video has become a tradition on my channel for the last couple of years. When new phones start coming out, I look at every single budget and I give you the best phone that fits in that price range. So without further ado, these are the best phones at any budget for summer 2021. But first, a word from my sponsor, Visible. If you guys follow me on social media, then you know that I switched my family over to Visible Mobile using Party Pay and only paying $25 per line for unlimited everything. From now to the 14th of July, Visible is running another special. Get an iPhone mini for as low as $480. And for new customers, you get $200 to spend online when you transfer your existing number over to Visible. Hit my links down below to make the switch to Visible. Now, back to smartphones. All right, guys, let's start low at $100. It's a little confusing. Now, smartphones like Nokia 1.4 or 2.4 are newer, but they don't necessarily give you the best experience. On the other hand, they do have that 720p display up to 6.5 inches and the promise of constant software updates thanks to a clean Android experience. We also have the Realme C11 here with a MediaTek Helio G35, which is more optimized for gaming. And yes, all these options are decent, but they push the $100 bracket going up to $140 in some cases. And I don't think they necessarily guarantee longevity. In short, these are your options, but today there is no recent sub $100 smartphone that I can truly recommend, and I'm sorry. But at $200, you get a little more leeway. This category has been dominated by Motorola in the past, but this time I'm going for the OnePlus Nord NT 5G. Look, I made a dedicated review on this not too long ago where I wasn't super impressed by it, but that was when it was for $300. Nowadays, it's just $180, which is a steal for this phone. Look, you get things like a 6.5 inch 90 Hz IPS LCD display, full HD resolution, 5G support, and NFC. You still don't get that buttery smooth performance with the Snapdragon 690 with Oxygen OS, but it'll get the job done, and for sub $200, you shouldn't be asking for too much. The 64 megapixel camera is decent, and it has an 8 megapixel ultra wide. So there's another phone on here that I had to add. It's $240. And this is the OnePlus Nord N200. It just came out, didn't get a chance to review it yet, but from what I'm seeing, it's a really stellar phone. And like I said, only $240. So if you're looking for something sub $250, take a look at the Nord N200 5G. I think if you're truly looking to overcome the drawbacks in camera quality that you get at this price tag, regardless of on-paper hardware, a phone that stands out to me is gonna be the Google Pixel 4a. It gives you a solid 5.81 inch OLED 1080p display, and this phone is a consistent feature in this list because of how good it is. You won't find support for a micro SD card slot here, something that the Nord has, but everything else about this phone is rock solid, especially that single 12.2 megapixel camera. The lack of ultra wide or other lenses might sound like it's basic, but with this one lens, it does wonders for your picture. General performance on this phone is actually solid. It has a Snapdragon 730G, and I think it's fine. Another phone that's in this range is the iPhone SE 2020. It's $400. In terms of design, yeah, it doesn't look great. And aside from the A13 Bionic processor, the specifications aren't really strong. In fact, 64 gigabytes of storage isn't enough for anybody these days. But if you're looking for something to get you in the Apple ecosystem, the SE 2020 is actually a bargain. You get a reasonably compact 4.7 inch LCD panel with IP67 certification, stereo speakers, support for future software including iOS 15, and a really solid 12 megapixel camera with one 7 megapixel shooter for your selfies. Now bumping up to $500, and that's gonna be the Pixel 4a 5G. It features an upgraded Snapdragon 765G chip along with the 12.2 megapixel primary and a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor. The step up in price, although doesn't bring a higher refresh rate, with it still being a 5.81-inch AMOLED panel, nor does it have wireless charging. If you do consider yourself an enthusiast, I do recommend a little older of a phone, but the OnePlus 8. Now, OnePlus is one of my favorite brands, and last year's flagship was excellent. Look, has a Snapdragon 865 processor, 6.55-inch 90Hz AMOLED 1080p panel, and a solid triple camera setup with 48 megapixel primary, 16 megapixel ultra wide, and 2 megapixel macro sensor. You throw in a 4300 milliamp battery with 30 watts of charging, and you're looking at a solid device for day-to-day use, multitasking, and gaming. So with that, we are now in the big boy territory. It's hard to give you a smartphone suggestion between the $500 and $600 bracket just because the extra money doesn't warrant much value. So that's a good thing to say about the cheaper phones, that they compete with more expensive phones. If you're in the market for anything close to $700, you do have a few choices. My number one choice here is the Pixel 5 because it brings you all the bells and whistles in a 6-inch OLED panel with 90 Hz refresh rate. Has IP68 certification and wireless charging up to 12 watts in a package that has a Snapdragon 765 5G chip, and it has the stock Android experience with, of course, you're gonna have the latest updates, the latest software, all the cool stuff that Google can do. You're gonna get it in a Pixel. This is like Google's flagship phone. And you also have a camera package that is amazing. This is actually my wife's phone and her camera that she uses every day, and I can't speak highly of it enough. You have aluminum around all the edges, and the back is covered in this weird bio-resin finish, which I actually like. I think it's kind of cool. So just creeping the price up a little bit more, slightly above at sub $800, you're looking at a pretty clear choice. It's the OnePlus 9. This is actually more to do with the raw specs, and for someone that likes this, they'll enjoy it. The latest Snapdragon 888 5G chip is on board, 8 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. You also get that 120 Hz fluid AMOLED 1080p display and 65 watt warp charging, giving you a full charge for the 4500 milliamp battery in just 29 minutes. It almost seems like OnePlus 9, this is like the silent flagship. It has Hasselblad optics with a 50 megapixel primary, 48 megapixel ultra wide, and 2 megapixel camera setup. And I don't think the photos from the phone are bad, especially after all the software updates. You've seen a much better shot. Even though the OnePlus 9 and OnePlus 9 phones are really good, I still think this year, the phone to get right now is the Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now these smartphones just feel much more refined over all the phones on the list. For example, the S21 camera setup is dense with so much software and so much hardware, and some of these premium features you're not seeing anywhere else. You also have some really high-end features like Samsung DeX, which turns your phone into a computer basically. And when you look at the iPhone, it's all about being part of Apple's ecosystem and the best hardware possible. Now, my whole house is controlled with Apple's ecosystem, easy file sharing with AirDrop, and just a more refined experience in iOS applications. So it's just one of those things that you love Android or do you love Apple? And these are the two phones to get. We gotta be honest, the iPhone 12 Pro or Pro Max doesn't have the best specs out there, but the experience is so optimized and it just works. I love the camera and the video capture on the iPhone. I think it's still the best one out there. But instead of talking about these phones so much, I am leaving links down below to check out these phones if you do want to see the full review. Anyways, guys, those were my thoughts. If you're sticking around, I really appreciate you. Leave it down below in the comments. Let me know you're still watching my pretty face. Anyways, guys, Kevin the Tech Ninja here. Have a great day. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.